you've not noticed the tan, if you're not subscribed to the channel, or if you haven't watched any of the Malta content or the Digital Nomad video that I put out a few days ago, you probably don't know that I've been living my best life in Malta. Yep, so about half the time I've been working or workcationing, I'm not sure I've necessarily just made that word up. And the other half I've been making sure that I've been having fun and visiting Malta and doing some activities and experiences to really enjoy the time I've been spending in Malta, and also just really get to know the place and try out some of the other different cultural experiences there. So this video, we're going to explore the fun activity side of Malta. I'm going to go through my 5 favorite things to do. So whether you are a digital nomad or a tourist or whatever, in this video, you're going to find out my favorite experiences that I did from the time that I was there. So let's go. The first thing that I was recommended to do while I was in Malta is make sure that I go snorkeling. So I went on Airbnb, got my phone, and found the best snorkeling experience that I could find. It was just like the most highly rated. And me and Finn, my mate who actually filmed the apartment tour video, check that one out if you haven't already. I'll put the pop-up banner here. We actually went snorkeling for the morning, which was really, really good. Met up in this cafe, and then basically I put on a wetsuit. Finn chose not to. We learned how to like get going with the like mouth shield and the like eye visor or whatever you call it, which previously I've done snorkeling in the Caribbean before, and that was definitely an experience, but I didn't really, they just flew you off the side of the boat in the Caribbean and didn't really like teach you how to use the equipment. So this time we used the equipment, I had mask, that was it. Actually the most difficult thing about the experience was just getting this little guy, the little Pocket 2, and figuring out how to use that in the waterproof case. So I bought this like waterproof case that doesn't come with it, you have to buy it extra, but I almost didn't figure out how to seal it up properly. So it was almost a very wet, not very useful Pocket 2, but the snorkeling experience was amazing, and thankfully I actually fixed the Pocket 2. So all of this footage that you're seeing now in terms of the underwater, in terms of like just like swimming around through the weeds, seeing like some fish, seeing like a little squid that was kind of like floating along, and yeah, just like feeling very like reflective and just feeling kind of at one with the ocean, and doing it in a really kind of like nice, somewhat safe kind of like bay area as well. But yeah, it was just a really good experience nonetheless, and it's something that I would recommend, and definitely recommend doing it in a wetsuit, because yeah, Finn came out feeling a bit cold whereas I was nice and warm in this wetsuit, and then it was great, and we went for lunch afterwards. So yeah, highly recommended, definitely go snorkeling in Malta. Another day, me and Lucas, my friend from Sweden, we decided to go to explore Valletta. So Valletta is kind of like the old town. It's where the kind of like port is that was really important in World War II for the British, as I kind of found out on my adventure there. So yeah, it's really, really good. It's really historic. There's a really old cathedral, which is absolutely beautiful inside. And we kind of just walked through the town, walked through the kind of like historic structures, and did like a little bit of exploration really. It's amazing because Valletta is like an old town that's kind of been like rejuvenated, whereas where I was staying in Sliema was kind of a little bit more like a new town. So it was nice to kind of go to Valletta, see all the old town buildings, see all the like beautiful streets as well, going like to a wine bar, have a nice few drinks and a meal in Valletta. And St. John's Cathedral, masterpiece of Baroque architecture. So that was really beautiful inside. Definitely recommend checking that out. Check out the little town and just, you know, soak up the atmosphere, soak up the environment of being in Valletta. Yeah, we got a really cool boat trip along. There will be a full day in the life video, which actually includes the trip to Malta. So you'll get to see all of that in an upcoming video. So subscribe if you're not already, because you will not get to see that video and be notified when that comes out. So next up, one activity that is absolutely one of the key things from a Malta perspective that you've got to do is some kind of like cliff jumping. And the main reason for that is Malta doesn't have that many beaches. Malta's an island and it's actually somewhat kind of rocky. Like it doesn't have that many amazing beaches. So one thing that is a really good activity to do is there are these like pools distributed around the island, and some of them are like, yeah, quite far away from Valletta or Sliema. You've got to like get a car, or you got to rent or get like a bus down there, but usually I would recommend renting a car because they're quite far and not all on like public transport routes. So we actually got a Bolt, we actually got a taxi, Lucas and I, and we went to a place called St. Peter's Pool, which is effectively a place where it's like a deep pool surrounded by like some kind of cliffs around the edges. And we went there, and I was like looking down, and I'm not afraid of heights or anything, but it was a little bit rough on that day, and as you see from this footage, I literally jumped off the pool and landed inside the water. But let me tell you that literally that jump from leaving the edge to jumping in, I literally counted the 3 seconds in my head when I was in the air. The footage makes it look like it was a breeze, but let me tell you, I was counting those seconds and it felt like a long time that I was gonna hit the water. Anyway, landed in and then was like sort of swimming one-handedly while I had the pocket like tied to my arm to then get out. But it was exhilarating, very glad that I did it. Wouldn't necessarily do it again, but glad I did it, and also glad that Lucas jumped in before me because it made it a little bit easier for me to just follow, knowing that he jumped and made it okay. So that was a benefit. Oh, and one thing even better in St. Peter's Pool is that when we were there, we actually filmed this dog jumping into the water. So he was literally doing his own cliff jumping in with his owner into the St. Peter's Pool area too. That was really funny and that was brilliant. But yeah, I don't know how this small little dog just like jumps in the air and just cliff jumps into the water. So that was really, really cute. But yeah, generally a good experience, and I felt like, yeah, definitely safe and quite exhilarated after doing that too. Definitely not as crazy as some of the other people there who were doing backflips and stuff, but I had a good time nonetheless. The next thing I'd recommend doing if you're in Malta is actually heading to Gozo, which is like the neighbouring island to Malta. It's a little bit smaller, it's definitely a lot more kind of like a step back in time. It's not as like modern or as industrial as Malta is, but fun fact, they actually have, in Malta there's 365 churches, and in Gozo there's also 52 churches. So there's so many different churches, beautiful, beautiful churches, and so much wonderful architecture in Malta and in Gozo. And so what we did is me, my friend Will and Finn, we basically took a really quite speedy boat trip from Malta to Gozo in the morning, and we basically did a full jeep safari around Gozo. So it was really nice. We basically got to go to lots of awesome like spots and beaches and like little cavernous areas and rocky areas, and go into the town, had this nice kind of like lunch together, met some really interesting people as well. So I think that was a really good way of just basically seeing the whole island of Gozo, having a day trip away from Malta, something that's very much kind of like all-inclusive in the sense of you pay for the Jeep Safari and you get lunch included, and you get to go around Gozo and you have a guide and you have all the kind of boat trips and stuff included. So that felt really good value for money and really, really enjoyable trip. And as you're seeing right now, all of the different things that we got up to on that day. If you would like to see more of that Gozo trip, I could potentially make a full day in the life video of that. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. But yeah, recommend 100%. If you're in Malta, definitely take a trip to Gozo, and while you're there, definitely make sure you check out the Blue Lagoon too, which we did as we were going past in the boat. Last activity, but absolutely by no means least, that I would recommend doing is a sunset horse riding trip. So my friend Will has definitely got into horse riding a lot more recently, and he was like, Charles, do you want to do horse riding this evening? I was like, hell yeah, man. So we did like this really nice sunset horse riding trip. My horse was, funnily enough, called Guinness, and it felt a little bit like the horse was drunk most of the time that I was riding it. And Guinness and Will's horse definitely had a bit of a liking to each other, so much so that there was one period where we both almost got knocked off on our quite nice sunset tour. So yeah, I think Will had to stay behind me because if Guinness was like behind this horse, they got a bit too frisky with each other. So that happened, but I think, yeah, overall, without that kind of minor event, it was actually a really nice calming, really reflective horse ride for me. I think if you're looking for like a cute date opportunity or something to do with either a friend or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, then I 100% recommend going horse riding. It's really near to Golden Bay as well, so you could always spend a day literally at the beach at Golden Bay. There's some good food places there. There's a really good pizza spot. And then after you're done with Golden Bay, then do a nice little horse riding sunset tour. The only thing I wish is that the horses went along the beach. However, you're not allowed any animals on that beach, so definitely not going to be allowed horses, right? But yeah, I felt very relaxed, very tranquil, and also just very reflective of the time that I was in Malta, and also I think just stepping back from the world for a second and reflecting on what I actually want to do, where I want to be, like the kind of work that I want to do and the people that I want to spend time with and where I want to spend time with them and everything like that. It was just a really reflective moment for me, I think, and yeah, I would definitely highly recommend it for that, if nothing alone. Felt kind of almost meditative. So on that wonderful note, I think we'll end the video here. Stay tuned for a lot more Malta content to come. Check out one of these 2 videos here, which will be 2 recent videos from the channel all about Malta. So without further ado, thanks so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next vid. Thanks.